In a universe where planets thrummed with the energy of life and chaos, there existed a world unlike any other, Verdac 7, a bright, bizarre realm ruled by the insectoid monarch, King Chiton. On this planet, towering bioluminescent plants stretched toward the shimmering sky, their hues shifting like the changing tides of emotion. It was a realm of order, a rigid hierarchy where insectoids, with their segmented bodies and multifaceted eyes, scuttled about their daily routines. Yet among them was one who dared to dream differently, Princess Nia. Princess Nia was not your typical royal. She had a knack for sarcasm and a penchant for stumbling into trouble. Today was no different. The grand hall of the royal palace buzzed with anticipation as her father prepared to deliver yet another speech about quashing a recent rebellion. Nia, seated on the edge of her ornate throne, toyed with her tiara, an ill-fitting crown of chitinous elegance. Her thoughts drifted to the recent uprising led by a band of eccentric aliens called the Ishing, notorious for their unpredictable tactics and strange customs. As King Chiton's voice boomed, Nia's mind wandered. Suddenly, she noticed a group of royal guards whispering and snickering at her expense. Fueled by a rebellious spirit, she stood up, drew a deep breath, and shouted, "If we squash the rebellion, do we have to throw a party afterward? Because I don't think anyone wants to celebrate with a bunch of cranky bug folks." A stunned silence fell over the hall. The king's expression morphed from proud authority to mortification, his antennae twitching with barely contained rage. Before he could respond, Nia lost her balance and toppled off the throne. The sound of her crash echoed like a comedic punchline, sending ripples of laughter through the crowd, banished to the outskirts for bringing shame upon the throne. King Chiton bellowed, pointing an accusatory appendage toward her. As Nia sulked her way through the lush, vibrant streets of her home, her banishment seemed more like a vacation than punishment. "Outskirts, here I come," she muttered, grinning at the thought of freedom. The outskirts of the kingdom were home to the misfits, the rebels, and those deemed too odd for proper insectoid society. And today, they would become her allies. It was here that she stumbled upon a ragtag group huddled around a glowing, pulsating orb. Their leader, Zex, was a bizarre sight. With a head shaped like a mangled fruit and limbs that seemed to have a mind of their own, he approached Nia with a goofy smile that could only be described as endearing. "Are you here to join our rebellion?" he asked, his voice a peculiar mix of excitement and confusion. I guess?" Nia replied, feeling more like an accidental tourist than a strategic planner. "But first, can you explain why your tentacle keeps trying to eat that orb?" "Ah, that's just Flibby," Zex chuckled, pointing at a particularly eager appendage. "He's just a bit overzealous about his snacks." Nia couldn't help but laugh. This was not the grand alliance she had envisioned, but somehow, it felt right. Days turned into weeks as Nia and the plotted and prepared for the upcoming Festival of Resilience, a time when the insectoids celebrated their unity and strength. In between bouts of planning, Nia endured numerous comical training sessions with her new allies. She struggled to master their bizarre combat techniques, like balancing on one leg while trying to throw a blob of goo at a target, which invariably ended with her slipping and making a mess of herself. "Not bad for a princess," Zex said, a twinkle of mischief in his eye as he helped her back up. "Yeah, I just prefer my training with a side of clumsiness," Nia shot back, wiping goo from her face. "It adds to my charm, don't you think?" As the festival approached, the alliance solidified, with plans unfolding like the petals of a luminescent flower. Zex's strategy relied on chaos, distracting the king and his guards with the absurdity of their antics while slipping through the cracks of the royal festivities. The Festival of Resilience arrived in a riot of color and noise, with insectoid warriors parading in elaborate costumes that made them look like walking bouquets. Nia, donned in a hastily thrown-together disguise of twinkling lights and oversized wings, felt both exhilarated and ridiculous. "If I fall, you're all going to pay," she whispered to her companions as they approached the palace. As they infiltrated the crowd, the chaos of the festival began. Zex and Nia took to the stage, a platform that towered above the festivities. Zex tripped over his own feet and fell onto the stage with a spectacular crash, sending a shower of confetti flying, ladies and gentlebugs. Nia exclaimed, scrambling to regain control. "Welcome to the best show you've ever seen. Prepare for the most unconventional performance of your lives." The audience, confused yet entertained, watched as Nia and her companions executed a series of wildly improvised skits. There were misunderstandings involving giant fruit, slapstick chases, and a failed attempt to juggle with an alien creature that ended in laughter and chaos. In the midst of the hilarity, Nia caught sight of her father in the crowd, a look of bewildered horror on his face. "Dad, don't you want to see what real resilience looks like?" she shouted, her voice carrying over the din. The king, flustered, could do little but gawk. But it wasn't just Nia's words that turned the tide, it was the absurdity of the situation that captivated the crowd, the laughter building like a wave ready to crash. Suddenly, an unexpected twist occurred. Just as they reached the climax of their performance, Zex's loyal friend, Gleep, a slimy, one-eyed creature with a penchant for mischief, betrayed them, darting off the stage with the orb of power they had hoped to harness. Gleep, it seemed, had his own agenda. In a flash, the once festive atmosphere turned tense. "Get that orb!" Nia shouted, rallying her team. In a whirlwind of movement, and Nia chased Gleep through the crowd, leading to a slapstick chase that had the audience roaring with laughter. "Don't lose him!" Zex yelled, his limbs flailing comically as they dashed after their slippery friend. In the midst of the chaos, Nia spotted her father, who was now caught in the fray, trying to maintain his regal dignity while dodging excited festival-goers. She seized the moment, flipping through the air and landing right in front of the king, who blinked in surprise. "Dad, this is what change looks like," she declared, gesturing at the madness around them. "Sometimes you have to embrace the absurd to find strength." Just as she spoke, Gleep tripped and sent the orb flying, which landed right at Nia's feet. In that instant, everything seemed to freeze, an electric tension crackled through the air. The orb glowed brightly, resonating with energy. Without thinking, Nia reached down and grabbed it, feeling a surge of power coursing through her. The crowd fell silent, and the tension shifted. "We can create something better," Nia said, raising the orb high. "An alliance that celebrates every creature, every quirk, and every oddity." Her words ignited something in the audience. They began to cheer, the sound swelling until it drowned out even the king's protests. It was a moment of unification, a spontaneous eruption of support for change. In a bizarre twist, King Chiton, realizing he was outnumbered and surrounded by laughter, threw his hands up in defeat. "Fine. I'll listen," he shouted, half embarrassed and half amused. The festival transformed into a celebration of newfound alliances. And insectoids mingled, laughter and joy filling the air. Nia, the unlikely heroine, had managed to bridge the gap between their worlds, turning the festival into a tapestry of unity. As night fell, the bioluminescent plants illuminated the gathering, casting a soft glow on their faces. Nia stood beside Zex, a sense of accomplishment washing over her. Who knew a little chaos could lead to such a big change? She mused. "Sometimes, it takes a little bit of oddity to create a lot of beauty," Zex replied, a goofy grin stretching across his face. Nia smiled, realizing that in the end, it was not about her royal title, but about embracing the quirks that made them all unique. Together, they had sparked a revolution of laughter and unity, a new era for Verdac 7 that celebrated the beauty of being wonderfully, inexplicably odd. Nia stood on the stage, the orb still glowing brightly in her hands, feeling its warmth radiate through her. The cheers of the crowd washed over her like a wave, invigorating her spirit. She could hardly believe that she had gone from being banished to the outskirts to standing here, the center of an unexpected revolution. Her quirky allies, surrounded her, their eyes wide with a mixture of disbelief and joy. "Princess!" Zex exclaimed, his voice bubbling with excitement. "You did it! You really did it! This is incredible!" Nia couldn't help but smile at his enthusiasm. "We did it," she corrected him, glancing around at the diverse crowd that had come together in this moment of unity. Insectoids and alike were mingling, sharing stories, and embracing their differences in a way she had never thought possible. As the festival continued, Nia found herself swept up in the celebrations. Music filled the air, a lively tune that echoed the joyful chaos of the day. She danced with Zex and the others, her laughter mingling with theirs, each step a celebration of their newfound camaraderie. The absurdity of their earlier antics had transformed into a bond that felt unbreakable. "Let's show the king what true resilience looks like," Zex shouted, pulling Nia into another ridiculous dance. They spun and twirled, their movements a mix of clumsy grace and infectious joy. The crowd joined in, a swirling mass of colors and laughter that made the night come alive. As the festivities wore on, Nia caught sight of her father at the edge of the crowd. He was watching with an expression that was a strange mix of pride and confusion. Tentatively, she made her way toward him, the glowing orb still in her grasp. The music faded into the background as she approached, her heart pounding with anticipation. "Father," she called out, her voice cutting through the noise. "Can we talk?" King Chitin's antennae twitched as he stepped forward, a hesitant smile breaking through his usual stern demeanor. "Nia," he began, his tone softer than she had expected. "I've seen what you've done today. This is remarkable." "Remarkable?" Nia echoed, her brow furrowing. "You mean all this? The chaos? The unorthodox methods?" "Exactly," he replied, his eyes glinting with a newfound understanding. "You've shown everyone that strength comes not just from tradition, but from collaboration and acceptance. I was wrong to stifle thee and their ideas." A flicker of hope ignited in Nia's chest. "Then let's change things together," she urged. "We can create a new era, one where differences are celebrated, not feared." The king nodded slowly, absorbing her words. "You've always been wise beyond your years, Nia. I've sheltered you too much, and now I see that your heart is as strong as any warrior's. Then join us, Dad. Let's turn this kingdom into a place where everyone has a voice," Nia said, holding out the glowing orb, as if offering him a piece of her vision. King Chitin took a deep breath, glancing around at the vibrant scene unfolding before him. The insectoids danced together, their laughter ringing like music in the night. He turned back to Nia, a genuine smile on his face. "You're right. Let's embrace this new alliance." As they rejoined the festivities, Nia felt a surge of warmth. The orb pulsed in her hands, almost as if it recognized the shift in their dynamic. With her father by her side, she felt a sense of empowerment, a hope that had been elusive for so long. The celebration reached its peak, and Nia took to the stage once more, her father beside her. "Everyone," she shouted, her voice steady. "Thank you for coming together today. We stand on the brink of a new beginning, where all of us, no matter how different, can thrive." The crowd erupted in cheers, the sound filling the night air like a jubilant symphony. Nia beamed as her father added, "Together, we will build a future that honors every voice, every story, and every quirk." As the festivities continued, Nia felt a sense of belonging that she had never known. They were no longer outsiders, they were her friends, her allies, and a part of her life she cherished deeply. She danced with Zex, laughed with Gleep, and even managed to coax Flibby away from the buffet of treats long enough to join in on the fun. Hours turned into a blur of colors and laughter, but as the night wore on, Nia felt the fatigue of the day creeping in. She stepped away from the festivities for a moment of solitude, watching the stars twinkle above like scattered gems against the velvet sky. Suddenly, Zex appeared beside her, a mischievous grin plastered across his face. "You know, you're quite the revolutionary princess," he teased, nudging her playfully. Nia laughed, shaking her head. "I just tripped into a great opportunity. But really, it was all of us together that made this happen." "Still," Zex replied, his expression turning serious for a moment. "You showed us that it's okay to be different. You made us believe that we could stand against tradition, that we could unite." Her heart swelled with gratitude. "I couldn't have done it without you. You all taught me that sometimes you have to embrace the weirdness to find your strength." Zex looked thoughtful, a soft smile on his face. "Maybe that's what we need more of, embracing our weirdness. Imagine how many others out there might feel the same way." Nia nodded, a spark igniting in her mind. "What if we don't stop here? What if we reach out to other planets, other beings, and share our message?" Zex's eyes lit up with excitement. Now that would be something. A galaxy-wide alliance of oddities. With that simple idea, Nia felt a rush of inspiration. The universe was vast, and if they could unite their corner of it, perhaps others would follow. "We'll make it happen," she declared, determination shining in her eyes. "We'll show everyone that differences are not a weakness, but a source of strength." As they rejoined the revelry, the music swelled again, and Nia felt an electric thrill run through her. The night wasn't just a celebration, it was a promise, a commitment to the future they would build together. As the first light of dawn began to break over Verdac 7, painting the horizon in hues of pink and gold, Nia stood with her friends, watching the sun rise. The sky felt alive with possibilities. They had transformed a festival of resilience into a festival of hope. And now, they would continue to fight for a world where everyone belonged, where oddities were celebrated, and where unity thrived in diversity. With Zex and her newfound family by her side, Nia knew this was just the beginning of their extraordinary journey. Together, they would forge a new legacy, one filled with laughter, camaraderie, and the beautiful chaos of embracing the unique. And as the sun rose higher, casting its golden glow over the kingdom, Nia smiled, ready to face whatever came next. The end.